Hi, my name's Renee with rockoffphotography.com, and today I got the famous Tommy Victor. You're famous, man.
Am I?
Yeah, for me,
I don't feel famous. I really don't. I feel less than famous a lot of times. You know?
For me, it's an honor to meet you because I've been listening to your music since like early '90s. You know, which brings y'all. You've been around for 30 plus years, 31 years, which is quite a feat for any band.
I have to show some gratitude towards that occasionally. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough business, and for a pimply, weird little kid from Queens to be still doing this is kind of an amazing feat, I guess. But I'm a greedy bastard, and I always want more, so I'm never satisfied.
Yeah. Which, you know, when you first started, your first few albums was very different from you. You kind of grew up in the hardcore scene, you know, in a sense. So it was very different. Was that hard to stay to the roots of what you wanted to accomplish as opposed to
question?
In?
I don't even know what I really wanted to accomplish. What I thought with Prong, we wanted to be different. We didn't want to be part of any particular movement or genre. We just wanted to stand apart. Yeah. And I think it still exists to this day where we stand apart, and it's its own entity. I guess there's some internal feelings against like a group mentality or whatever, and maybe I should be more world conscious these days or something. I don't know. Maybe I still have my lessons to be learned. I don't know.
I think we all learn as we evolve, regardless. You know, that's the only way to grow.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm a tough one to crack when it comes to learning new stuff. So
yeah,
I'm just. But back to hardcore versus metal versus alternative. Once we started getting to metal, we were like, we can't do this anymore. Then once we got to alternative, we're like, let's get back into metal. We're like, and then when we got in that area, then like in recent years, I've been, well, let's just combine it all. And like with like 0 Days, our recent record, I tell people to get it. I say, you know, you're into Cleansing, you're into Beg to Differ, these are the older Prong records. You should get this one because we wanted to combine it all and put it into a, you know, the whole thing's a fusion anyhow, and then to put it in the meat grinder again is how these records come about.
Yeah, and talking about 0 Days, that album, I mean, I don't know how you do it, but you can write some damn awesome riffs compared to other bands that are trying to make it big or whatever. It's like, you know, not to say anything bad about them, but your musicianship is spot on. Just like you're saying, like that, the 0 Day kind of harkens back to a mix of everything that you've been doing up to this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we went back and looked and picked out pieces, but in designing new riffs and new songs, you know, we wanted to make it where it wasn't like we were going off in another tangent. It was like it had to have a reflection upon those older records.
Yeah. And so, right now, you're currently on support of that album. You're on tour with Helmet. I was talking to Rob, he's saying this is the second part of being on tour with Helmet. Is that correct?
No. Where did he get that from?
I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood him. Maybe.
I think he misunderstood you because he tends to do that. But anyhow, this our tour manager says not listen. I don't think any tour managers do. But you know, no. I mean, we were out with Power Flow before this.
Oh right, yes.
And that was a cool little run. We did the West Coast with them and a band called Cutthroat and another band, Sifting. It was a good package. Like I really had a good time on that. It was just 8 shows. So this is actually the first time we've ever played with Helmet. This is the 4th show on the tour, and of all these years back in New York, and you know all the shows that we did locally there, and we've never actually played a show together. So these are the first ones.
And that's kind of unheard of because y'all kind of have almost the same background, the same time period, and the same flow.
We do. In a lot of ways, we were different. I mean, Prong was the kind of band that was playing a lot of the hardcore matinees at CBG. It's like we were a completely a crossover band, and then we played with like the Crumbsuckers and like more of the crossover bands. And then we would play with Whiplash, which is like a thrash metal band. And then we played with like Sheer Terror, and then we could play with the Mentors, and we played with the really alternative groups like My Bloody Valentine, and we did as much as we could. I think that we were more associated with New York hardcore than Helmet. Helmet were innovative and more in the alternative scene than we were.
Right.
I'm not saying they weren't as innovative, but like they seemed to be more with like the college rock crowd or something. So we definitely went in different paths, but I think we started essentially on that Lower East Side sound. I mean, like musically, there's a lot of similarities, but as far as like the marketing paths that we went were considerably different.
Right.
I mean, we were signed to Epic, and they were like branded us a metal band, and they want like this is the new metal, and they wanted to throw that down everyone's throat. So we had to go along with that. I mean, there's no way arguing with people that are spending money on your band. So
right. Now, you recently, for the past few years, you've been releasing records on a pretty consistent basis. Now, when you write, do you take time to write when you're on tour, or you just wait till you get to the studio?
Sometimes. I mean, there's this record, Ruining Lives, that we put out. It's going on like 4 or 5 years ago, and most of that I did on the road, like in like this program everyone knows, GarageBand, ironically, and that's it was. I had a lot of ideas, and then I was sort of questioning them all, and then really didn't have a band like that at that point. We were scrambling, and it all sort of came together at the last minute. But a lot of the ideas were on the road. But recently with 0 Days, most of that stuff was done like in an intense, collaborative period at home. Yeah. Like where like I was for 2 months just digging deep.
Do you prefer that method instead of writing on the road? Is there a difference that you think that comes out in the final edits?
Let me see. I mean, sometimes I have to look for inspiration. I mean, it's some people think it just comes and it just winds up arriving. I mean, maybe it does. I don't know, but I have to do certain things to get my juices flowing, or prepared to write lyrics, or come up with riffs, and sometimes that takes like maybe figuring out a couple of old like Sabbath songs, or just like taking it easy for a while, or concentrating on other things, and then like sometimes when you're just say, I'm not going to have anything to do with music for a while, like for a couple of weeks, and just like hang out at the pool or something, and then you're like, I'm ready to get back to work.
Right.
So in my later years, I don't like to be like in the recording studio, or spend these really long hours, because I've noticed in the past, like, I mean, we made it like on the Rude Awakening record, we spent so much time like in the studio rewriting stuff, just rearranging material, questioning everything we did, and then like I was like, what happened to the songs? Like they just sort of like evaporated into these other things, and I was kind of never really happy with the way that record came out. So now it's like, I got this thing going. I'm like, let's just lay this down and let's just get it done.
Yeah, I've heard other musicians, they say that when they spend too much time on it, they kind of lose of what they started with the song, what their intent was.
You have to have some sort of confidence and trust. Like you can't question every little thing that you do. It's like that tends to be what a lot of artists do, and some people can do that, and like they rework stuff, and working with a producer, I'll let him interject, and the producers that we've been working with recently is Steve Evans and Chris Collier, and they have a lot of input, and I trust them. I don't even trust myself anymore. Like I'll trust the other guys in the band or whoever. I'll just. I tend to listen a little bit more. I'm not like totally convicted to what I'm doing.
Yeah. having good ideas if something comes from somebody else. A good idea is a good idea.
Well, I don't like to question myself that much. I was like, this is it. Like, and if you guys don't like it, then we won't do it. You know, like that's really, like I don't keep reworking stuff and trying to like make it, try to wrench something out of it. Like for instance, like with 0 Days, there was a lot of songs like prepared and written and finished, and a lot of the stuff just got thrown in the garbage can, like even before like I even presented it, some of the stuff to Chris Collier and the producer, it was like, he was like, nah, like we had like 15 ideas and like he was just like, nah, like we were listening and I'm like, all right, I spent 4 days on that, but who cares,
That's right. So with their diverse catalog, when y'all go on tour, how do you decide which songs you're gonna throw on the live set?
Well, we're talking about like between the band, between Art, Jason, and then I'm kind of a weirdo with that. Like I tend to look at like Spotify and see what's being played more. But with this with Prong, there's the video songs from the back in the old days that people are more familiar with, and it's better to play like the familiar songs that people are familiar with than songs that are more experimental for me that I may like more, but that you just know aren't going to go over as well. People may be confused about them. And we have a side B of Cleansing. We really don't play any of those songs anymore, and those are always sort of like the weird songs. So then, you just stick to the hits,
Right.
So it's obvious that we have to play Snap Your Finger, Snap Your Neck, and Whose Fist Is This Anyway? And then the strong songs from the new records, like which tends to be these days, like from New Absolutes, like Cut and Dry, and the songs that like Jose Mangan from Sirius XM Liquid Metal, like he's picked up on, which is maybe like However It May End from 0 Days. Divide and Conquer was a video song, and so was Forced to Tolerance. So those are the ones that we play.
Now, given that you've been playing live for all these years, do you still enjoy it? Do you ever get nervous before you go on?
Oh yeah, of course I get nervous. I mean, not of course. I mean, I still care. It's like I worry about myself a lot of times. Like I'm not going to be up to what I like myself to be, and a lot of that you can't really control. Like I always compare it. I mean, I've said it in other interviews, and I say to people, it's like like as a ball player, a lot of how many. If you fail 2 out of 3 times as a batter and you're still really successful, it's like a pitcher. Like a lot of times you just don't have it. You're not in the zone. So I always get afraid. Like tonight, am I going to be in the zone? Or like if some things are beyond your control, though. Like back, like I still get annoyed at things that are not in my control, but that don't go my way. But there's stuff that you can do about it, like equipment breaking down. Monitors being horrible, and crowd response some nights, so those are the things that give you some anxiety. But you just got, I mean, in the big picture, one night isn't going to kill you, and you just got to keep rolling and just keep moving ahead. And there's always the good thing about rock and roll and like music is that there's always time to recuperate and have another show that's good, and then you forget about them. So, but I still get nervous. I get nervous. I think as soon as I get out there, I feel a lot more comfortable. It's like that's something that's changed over the years. Like, once I'm up there and I can see people and just do my thing, and then it's like I don't take myself that seriously once I'm up there. Like beforehand, I'm like, I have all those thoughts that I just mentioned.
Make sure that you want to produce a good show.
Yeah, I mean, it's for yourself and for others. It's like if you're not doing a good job, then if that's the main thing you got to watch out for. Like I'm looking at how the guys in the band, I never worry about them because they're excellent, and like I always feel that I'm the one. Like hit some vocals or forget some lyrics, whatever, you know. It's like whatever.
Yeah. So, you know, as long as your career has been, do you feel at this point that you've accomplished everything that you wanted to?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I'm not even close. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's that there was a lot of. I would have liked to have done a lot more with it than where I'm at now, and that's just honest. You know, that's just being honest. It's like it's like you know, like I've made a lot of mistakes in my career, so it's like a lot. Like I said, back to a ball player, I probably out of three decisions, probably 2.5 have been poor decisions. So there's nothing I can do about that. You know, it's like it's just the way it is.
Yeah, but that's like you were talking about how we learn from our mistakes and how you're still hungry to accomplish stuff. You still want to do more.
Yeah, I mean that's I think any guy that keeps going, or I've never been. I don't know. It's just my upbringing. I could never like mail it in. You know, like I mean, I've had periods where I mailed it in. Like I was just like I didn't give it. You know, like. But I don't know. Like in recent years, I felt that like technology has caught up with Prong finally. So I'm really happy about that. Where like making a record is the way I always would like to make a record is more capable of doing it these days than back in the old days. Like recently, I was doing like this side project, and we went into like a regular recording studio, and like I was just like, you know what? I don't like to make records like this anymore. You know, it's like. I like the modern way where you do everything in the box, which means like in Pro Tools and just like you can jam with the band and come up with ideas, but like really using the technology that you have today is like that's really refreshing to me. And having like young guys work with me, like Chris Collier, and like helping make a record like as stellar as these records have been, in my opinion, that they're easier to accomplish.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend 5 days on these things that you're just like bored. By the time a week goes by, you're just losing your mind doing. That's one of the things. Like I mean, of many that keep me motivated. And we were like recording years ago. I mean, I come from an era where we didn't have digital technology. I mean, when a 4-track cassette tape machine came around, that was like a miracle. It was like like he was as a singer, vocalist, guitar player. It's always hard because you'd have to rehearse with the band, then record all the stuff with the band, then go home and then like try to figure out lyrics and vocals over that, and then how you gonna like practice that, and then like bouncing stuff on a 4-track machine, and then having to go back and to rehearse with the band, and then go back again when you try to tell the guys the arrangement has got to be different, and like this whole process where now a lot of that doesn't exist, where you can do things and make them happen faster. That's why we were able to make like 6 records in 5 years.
Yeah, because the convenience is like here's what I got, send it out.
Yeah.
And let's work it.
With the internet we could communicate a lot faster. And, you don't have to wait for some mail of a tape or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the communication thing is just so much faster. So I think that's been cool.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that is exciting about making records today or doing everything.
Yeah, and talking about technology, y'all have a new website up, right?
Yeah, we finally got our official merch store up, and that's taken 30 years. So the time is right, I think. Like we wanted to do it for a while, and then finally, I took the horns and just said, like, you know what? I'm not listening to anybody. I'm just doing it. And that's a big move for me too, because it's I come from the 90s, and we always expected managers or a record label to do this and do that and everything. And that's why I'm learning now. Like, I mean, like as an artist in, 2018, you got to do it all yourself. I mean, you can't rely on anybody. There's just not enough money around for people to be motivated to do anything. So you got to you got to make the phone calls. You got to make these things happen. And I'm like, I'm like a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff. Like I always thought that somebody else would handle it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you just go to www.prongmusic.com and hit the merch link, and you'll be exposed to our new Kill the 8 merch store. That we're going to be adding more items on there. We got like a killer new Primitive Origin shirt that's like the original first Prong shirt ever made, redone.
Very nice.
Victor Differ shirt, famous Prong wristbands and patches right now. And then we're gonna get hats, hoodies, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Once I get more money to throw into it.
Yeah. Now, are you gonna be able? I don't know if you've done it yet, but offer like bundles for the 0 days, autograph CDs, things like that, with the shirt.
No. I mean, that's something that I still have a label, and like they sort of did that in their entity, and that's wrapped up. That's one of the it's a good question, because that sort of got wrapped up in Europe, and like I never see a penny from any of that stuff.
No.
Yeah, I mean it's like they do their own promotions, they sell their own shirts, and I mean it's part of that whole schematic where the label's going to do this and they're going to do that, and then they wind up, like in charge of your merch and all this stuff. But I mean, these days, we're dependent upon like the finances coming in from our own stuff. So, message to you bands and everybody, you just got to do it all yourself. It's the only way you're going to make a buck. Not that I'm successful at this, but it's like this is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's the way of the future. It's like making your own records, putting it just back like it was in the old punk rock days, it's back to that,
And it's weird how it's come full circle, because now there's bands, being independent, they're not doing stuff off of record labels.
No, you can't
anymore.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's just not enough being sold for them to want to, and then they're going to collect all the money. So it's like, why do it?
Right. If you're going to work for yourself, work for yourself, to put out what you want.
I know, it's like, it's totally, it's a different thing, I mean, I've been educated on this. This is all my own revelations. Like, like Art Cruz, the drummer in Prong, he's teaching me a lot of stuff, and, my girlfriend's a lawyer, she's younger, and she's telling me about a lot of the things I got to start thinking about and doing. Like again, I was on a major label in the 90s, where it's just like, everyone had a piece of the pie, and I was left with nothing inevitably, and you left everything to managers and labels, and they just would I'm trying to think of the way they would milk it and put all the money in their pockets, and like the artists never got anything anyhow, unless you sold like 5 million records.
Which is for metal bands, to sell 5 million records is quite.
It's to sell 50 records is a big deal.
But if you're gonna buy anything, make sure you go to the official Prong site.
Yeah, go there for the merch or come to the shows. I mean, we're selling,
for sure. Excellent. So, any last words? What fans can expect in the rest of the coming year? Another tour?
Well, we go to Europe. I mean, we're doing a very short tour of Europe. We're on this cruise, this metal cruise over there, and then we're going to continue touring, and then I'm going to put out a couple of singles this year. So. And then like another album hopefully coming out, like, well, we were thinking February. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I've been, when I was home for the last couple of tours, in between tours, like you mentioned earlier, I was like, when I'm in between tours is more I've been writing, so like I came up with some stuff there, and like I was thinking today, I was like sitting there, I was like, do I have any songs? I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I did write a bunch of songs for this next record. I was like, okay, that one, and like I completely forgot, like my memory goes dead. So when I get home, I'll see what I got in the folder, and we'll see what's up.
Excellent.
We'll look for us on the road. We had 3 more weeks of this Helmet Prong tour. Go to prongmusic.com with Facebook page, Prong Music. See our dates. Hit me up on Twitter. It's Prong Music. And then Instagram, Prong the band. So I've been pretty communicative. So you know, if you have anything interesting to say, I will reply.
Excellent. Good thing. And this is a show not to miss. I mean, you know, both of y'all bands sketch on the same bill. You know, for as long as y'all been around and how y'all helped forge the genre of music, there's no reason to miss this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of educational, I think, for in a way for younger kids or whatever. But it's still a good rock show. It's like Helmet are excellent, and they sound amazing, and it's a package that had to happen, and finally we've done it, and come full circle, and it's fantastic.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it again.
Renee.
Thank you.